Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome and thank you so very much for tuning in, for being a wonderful, gorgeous, fabulous human being who, quite frankly, we suspect, because you're part of our community, is really interested and absolutely probably committed to living life at a much deeper, more meaningful, more profound and substantial level. Now, certainly what comes with that is hopefully a whole heap of abundance and prosperity and lots of fun and playfulness and you feeling amazing about your relationships, your health and well-being, your business. And if you're not there yet, maybe you want to lean in and listen for the next half an hour or so. Well, I talk to you and, more to the point, present to you my dear friend, Robert MacPhee. So if you've been in that community for quite a long time, you probably, or you should know who Robert MacPhee is. Maybe you've already got his Positive Prime session in your library. He is just a gem, right? He's one of my greatest supporters. But I was so enamored with the idea of meeting him many years ago because he was like the director of training for Jack Canfield. And you all know that I absolutely idolize Jack Canfield as a guru. And it's because he walks his talk, right? He's just real, genuine, down to earth. And when I got to meet Jack, I remember being completely in awe of just how normal he is, even though he's so extraordinary. He was so humble. He was so kind and warm. He was so present. And you know what? I dare say it's actually because he got to work with somebody like Robert. So can you. And I get to work with Robert now. Alrighty, so let me tell you that he has, you know, basically a whole long list of accolades, a whole long list of awards, lots of people who are really a lot more influential and impactful and famous than me. They also admire and respect him. He's the co-founder of the Southern Californian Association of Transformational Leaders. That's very fancy. But you know what? He's actually just a really clever man who actually is devoted to you achieving the results that you want to achieve. He's been an incredible sounding board for me. I trust him. He's been loyal and reliable, and those are much more important to me. And for me to actually experience that over a long period of time. So I wholeheartedly would recommend or suggest that anybody gives themselves the opportunity to work with Robert. We might find out how to do that. But let's just pass over to Robert and have him actually tell us, what is it about his new, very successful business, particularly in the corporate world, Excellent Decisions, and why I continue to watch your session regularly because of what it does to my other than consciousness. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Excellent Decisions, and maybe what you think about Positive Prime and why you think we work so well together.
Okay. So first of all, I hope Jack Canfield gets a chance to listen in on this recording, because, you know, anytime someone attributes his success to me, I think, you know, I would love to see the look on his face when he hears that. I think actually it's probably more true the other way around. I'm proud to have had some impact on the work that Jack does, and I completely concur with what you said. I was the director of training for his organization. I worked very closely with Jack for quite a long time. He was an amazing mentor. I was just sharing with someone earlier today, I'm coming to you from beautiful Oklahoma today, holed up in a hotel room in Oklahoma doing some of that corporate work you were talking about. But I was just sharing with someone today about how working with Jack while my kids were growing up, Kim, you know this, I have 3 children. As we're recording this, my youngest is 22, my oldest is 26, and they're all out there in the world and doing wonderful things. But they grew up around the kind of work that Jack does and that I'm now blessed to do, and that you're around a lot. And I was talking about the incredible impact that it had, because you're right, Jack is the real deal. Like, his work is so fundamentally sound and so in-depth and well-researched. And Jack is one of those people in this field of personal and professional development who's probably, he may be the most well-respected amongst his peers of anyone I've ever met in that space. And having the opportunity to work with him, and it was his connection that got me involved with organizations like you were talking about, the Transformational Leadership Council and the Southern California Association of Transformational Leaders, and just being able to hang around with and work with and learn from some of the most amazing teachers on the planet was really a great opportunity. And most of that came from the opportunity to work with Jack, and has really led to the work that I'm doing now, which you mentioned just recently in the last couple of years or so, has been rebranded to what I call Excellent Decisions. And Excellent Decisions is really focused on helping people make decisions based on their vision and their values, rather than all the external stress and pressure that we're faced with in today's world. So that's what I do. You know, when I am working with an organization, that's what I'm doing, helping the organization focus on making sure that their decisions and their leadership moves are all being made based on vision and values and clarity about what's really important to them and the difference that they want to make in the world. And also for individuals, the same thing. You know, we see people, like you said, who want to create lives that are worth living, lives that match with the standards that they've set and the commitments that they have. And the truth is, you know, what emerged for me with this whole new rebranding was that the decisions we make ultimately determine the actions that we take, and therefore the results we get and the experiences that we have. So zeroing in on that issue of how are we making decisions becomes a really impactful, life-changing experience for people. And again, it's really become the focus of my work. And like you said, I'm a huge fan for a very long time of Positive Prime, before it was even called Positive Prime. And I love working with you. I love being around what you're doing. And I was thinking, actually, before this conversation, I was thinking back to when we first met, and I was thinking about, like, why is it that Excellent Decisions, because I'm thrilled to hear that you periodically are watching my session. I'm very proud of the session that we've created. And I love the fact that when people participate in my work, whether it's working with me in a coaching capacity or a consulting capacity, or coming to a retreat, or participating in my online course, or playing the prosperity game, which is another deliverable of what I do. We always encourage people to make Positive Prime, and in particular, the Excellent Decisions Positive Prime session, a part of what they do. And over the years, as we've done that, I've noticed, like I can't measure exactly how it works, but I see that people who take advantage of the opportunity, like when people participate in our online course, we make the Excellent Decisions Positive Prime session a part of what they get, a part of what we encourage them to do during the period of time where they're participating in the course. And we notice the difference of the people, the level of enthusiasm and commitment, and you know, when people participate in an online course, sometimes they have trouble kind of keeping up and sticking with it to the end. And there's a very noticeable difference with the people who say yes to the offer, to the invitation to include the Positive Prime session in what we're providing to them. And the people who say, oh no, the course material's fine. You know, the people who focus on the information. And I know one of the other things that you and I have in common is the information is great, but we want to see them implement it. And I know, or I think I know, I see you nodding your head, that is what drives me in terms of the work that I do and the way that I do the work I do. You know, I love sharing the information and the ideas, but I mean, I was in a training room all day long today, focused on implementation, taking it all the way to action. How can these ideas, how can this information get into your life in a way that it's going to change what you do and change who you are, so you start having more of the results and experiences that you really want. So I think,
You know, Rob,
I think you asked 2 questions and I answered 3. So
yeah, I love that. You're a bit like me, and everybody who knows and loves me in the Positive Prime community, quite frankly, knows that I for way too long, right? You know, I've done one of your online programs. I, of course, have been very lucky to do some much more intensive work with you, more up close and personal one-on-one mentoring. And I definitely credit my ability to overcome some pretty serious challenges to decent friendships with people like you. But I had to consciously choose to have people like you and you into my life, right? And I had to show up. Um, I love that my enthusiasm for you, right, or my incredible passion for the work that you're doing is now extending beyond me. So it's kind of like, oh, is she just effusive and, you know, over the top? But actually, I've really encouraged a couple of our positive prime professionals to engage in your work and do so wholeheartedly, and to make sure that they find the empowerment and that they too are enriched. And I have to tell you, behind the scenes, they have given me the feedback that it's undoubtedly one of the very best courses they've ever done. And I know that you've gone on to do work for some of those people, for some of their teams or their clients as well. So for those people who might be interested in working with you, let's just give them a really beautiful opportunity to dive in now. And look, when we think about masterminds with some of the truly exceptional people on the planet who've actually amassed great fortune and quite frankly, are really impressive, people like you and Jack, I think that a lot of people get scared because they're like, wow, that's going to be a 50,000. Do you know, I heard somebody say, like literally say in a webinar, oh, I paid this coach $180,000 this last year. I nearly hyperventilated. I was appalled. Who the hell would charge? Anyway, don't let me go there. But I do know that sometimes people like are, if I'm going to really invest $5,000 in this particular coach, am I going to get that return? Right? So that's not who you are. That's not, you are just so much more accessible and affordable and kind and compassionate and also brilliant. Let's talk about how we can engage and be empowered.
Yeah, well, and I'll approach that in a couple of different ways. I appreciate you saying that, and I really am committed. And I think this again came a lot from working with Jack, who shares that commitment. You know, he started working, you know, with people in public city schools in Chicago, and has really maintained the commitment to always having a way for people to work with him on any level, on a level where they can get some of his content for free or very inexpensive, all the way up to the real high-end programs. And the truth is, I'm really excited right now. I mean, it's funny that we're doing this conversation while I'm holed up in a hotel, kind of in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. But the truth is, the reason why I'm here is because the work that I'm doing is really gaining some momentum. I'm really, as we start the year 2020 and as we start a new decade, I'm experiencing some of this. You know, people talk about it takes 20 years to create an overnight success. Have you ever heard that expression? And that's a little bit of what I'm experiencing right now, is that on an organizational level, since rebranding my work, I mean, Kim, you know this, I wrote a book almost 10 years ago now. It was called Manifesting for Non-Gurus. And it's a wonderful book. I'm extremely proud of it. It's a really great book, and people love it, and they share it with other people, and it makes a difference. And I'm really, like I said, really proud of the work. And it's still a foundational piece as far as what I do. But the truth is, I learned that Manifesting for Non-Gurus is a clever title, but a horrible brand. You know, in terms of getting out and working with organizations and working with high-level leaders, it just doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And I learned this kind of the hard way. You know, it took me a while. It took me 4 years to figure out that it was a terrible brand. Actually, a little more than that. But what I'm seeing now that I've switched over, and my conversations start with excellent decisions and the idea of making decisions based on vision and values rather than stress and pressure. And you know, it used to be external stress and pressure, and now, as I've gotten deeper into those conversations, I realize it's not only external stress and pressure, but it's internal stress and pressure as well. And the idea is to be making decisions based on vision and values instead of stress and pressure. And another insight that's come out of that as the work is evolving is that it's not just vision and values, but it's vision, values, and value. And I say that because I think this is what connects to your question and your point about, you know, the $108,000 coaching program or whatever. The reality is that there's a lot of people out there in the world who don't have $108,000 to invest in a program. The idea of spending $5,000 on a program is just outside of their realm. And when I talk to people about, like, what's the biggest obstacle to people engaging in the kind of work that I do, honestly, one of the biggest reasons for a lot of people is money. And it becomes a real paradox, because if they don't do this kind of work, if they don't develop a new approach, if they don't get the support and the accountability that they really need, then they're not going to create the success that they need financially. You know, it's like a chicken and the egg kind of a thing. So part of
Everybody
what I,
needs to see me doing this. It's just, it's so true, right?
yeah,
You got
and
to take the leap. It's really scary, but at some stage, you just have to dig deep, and you have to back yourself, and you have to require of yourself that you are going to make it work and worthwhile, right?
yeah, and I mean, I've created a retreat. I moved a couple years ago, and I now live in the beautiful wine country of Northern California, and a couple times a year now, I'm going to be doing a weekend retreat there, and I'm really excited about doing that. I love the live interaction, and to be able to go really deep with people, my favorite thing to do, absolutely. But in order to do that, it's several $1,000s for people to come to a retreat like that. There's hard costs involved in planning and execution and all that. I can't do a retreat like that for a couple $100s. But part of my commitment is, even if people can't do that, even if they, I have so little time now to actually do a lot of one-on-one coaching, there's just not time for it. So I raise my rates, and the forces of the economy very quickly, I have a few coaching clients that I work with on a consistent basis, and there's not much time for more than that. But in terms of, I feel like I'm dodging your questions, but in terms of actually answering the question you asked, one of the things that we do, and I worked really hard last year to create an online course. It's called the Excellent Decisions Mastery Course. And with technology nowadays, there's some amazing online formats that we can use to take the content that I normally use for my coaching and for my consulting and all that, and put it in an online format where someone can access that content, take the course. They can take it on a self-paced kind of basis, or a few times a year, I actually take groups of people through the course and host a call every week and offer support to the people that are in the course. Over the course, it's actually 6 weeks that we do it. There's 5 modules, but we start with a call the week before the course begins, and we finish with a call the week after the content's done. So it's 6 calls, but it's 5 content modules that go through the Excellent Decisions approach, which starts with awareness. We have awareness of how change works and what we can do differently, start thinking about a different approach. There's clarity in the area of vision and values and value. And then there's a piece we call letting go of attachments, which is about getting out of our own way. So often the one thing that's getting in our way more than anything else, and I think most people can relate to this, is the face we see in the mirror every single morning. The habits that we've developed, the thinking that's currently creating the results we're getting now, changing those habits, getting out of our own way, being willing to do something different in order to create the results that we want. And then finally, the 4th module is about taking action and responding to feedback and getting the help we need. And so that's the basic structure of the course. And we put this together so anyone can sign up at any time to participate in the course. And it's $97, so it's very, very affordable for people. And they can just, self-guide through the content, and very simple to do. And we get great feedback on that course. But we also, like I said, a couple times a year, we go through, and I charge $497, and I take relatively small groups of people through, because it's a lot of personal attention for people. The way I've been doing it is groups of 50 people at a maximum, and I do 2 groups of 25. So I do a call for a group of 25, and I do another call for the other 25. So I really get to know people and work closely with them.
Honestly, and so that's like doing the course, but actually also doing the course with you as a workshop. Is that right?
Exactly. So we get on calls just like you and I are on a call right now. And there are things that we can do in terms of going deeper into the content and answering questions and giving people, my approach is very much about experiential and interactive learning, and making it fun as well.
It is awesome. It is.
Yeah, and you and I have several mutual friends. We were talking about Paul Sheely before we started the call, and we've talked about Jack, and I have a good friend by the name of Scott Cody, who's one of my mentors and one of my teachers, all of whom teach a very experiential, interactive model of education, where instead of just sharing information, we do exercises and activities to really get it in our body, to have the experience of the content so that we're more likely to remember it and integrate it. And we can build some of that into the online course, We can do much more of it at a retreat. You know, that retreat I was talking about is all experience. Every single piece of it is about experiential from start to finish. And there's things we can do in a live environment. And then in between, we can have a call like this. And I love this particular technology that you and I are using right now, because we can actually put people into groups. We can have questions and answers. We can do exercises and activities that you can't do just in an online course format where you have videos and you have printed documents and those types of things. So,
do you know, Robert, I just have to say, the first time I did the course, like I was the student and the participant, and you put me in a breakout room via this technology, and I got to do an exercise with another real person in the course. I thought, he is so cool, right? Like, it's fantastic. Totally
yeah,
takes
and
it to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's so true. I was actually, the work I'm doing here in Oklahoma this week is kind of a train the trainer model, and it's very much focused on teaching people, you know, it's great to share information. There's a lot of good information out there. You can go online, you can get, you know, it's like the the new form of library, right? And they used to say, you know, if information was all you needed, then librarians would be the richest people in the world. But the truth is we need to really integrate it on a deeper level. So there's levels of that. The online course it's a great way. Like the platform we use is called Kajabi, and it's an amazing technology that we can create a level of interaction and experiential content there that's much more than just printed documents and just videos. We can create some interactivity. But then the facilitation, to have the connection to me, and I don't delegate this to anyone else. I actually do the facilitation myself. And it just creates a different level of connection. So people have accountability. They have an ability to get their own questions answered. They have an ability to take the content and really personalize it to their own life, their own situation, their own circumstances. Again, in ways it's difficult to do. Like with just the online course, everyone gets the same course. But when I have 25 people in a group and I'm starting to get to know them, then we can really personalize it to people's specific needs. And again, I normally, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, can I interrupt, and can I ask you to give me an example? Like, this is a pretty heavy thing to put on you. An example of an experience for the people who are listening into this video, like a little bit of a taster. Maybe you can think about that, or an idea about why do they want to do the course? Like, I can tell them why, but why do you want people to actually do this online course?
Well, I think the simplest, and I will go back and give you an example of an exercise that we do. I appreciate you. So Kim and I know each other well enough. Like normally you don't want to get someone on a webinar and put them on the spot and ask them a question like that when they don't know it's coming, but I'm fine with that. I love that. So I think probably the main reason, the one thing of all my conversations about the work that I do and what kind of really gets people's attention is this conversation about all the stress and pressure that we're faced with in today's world. You know, most people, when I say that, I see the heads nodding and people can really relate. And I like to use the example of young people in today's world who are faced with peer pressure, social pressure. If they're in school, they're facing academic pressure. If they're, again, in school at that age, they're still dealing with parental pressure in many cases. And in a lot of cases, they haven't had the work in terms of vision and values and what's really important to them because they have so much pressure from everyone else telling them what's important. You know, their friends are telling them what's important, and the society and social media is all telling them what's important, and the school is telling them what's important, and it's overwhelming, and it doesn't change, and it's not getting any better. And for those of us who are a little bit older and who aren't in school anymore, you know, it's really the same thing. It's just some of the stress and pressure is a little bit different. It's not academic pressure, it's work pressure from our boss or our coworkers or competition or whatever it might be. So we have all this stress and pressure. And
for me,
if people,
sometimes, I was just going to say, Robert, I just noticed that my own health and well-being was an issue that I didn't even have to think about, let alone pay any attention to for the last couple of decades. And now all of a sudden, when you talked about internal pressure, just before, I was like, I actually now know what that means, right?
Yeah.
And then if you really care and you have some integrity and you're a leader of a direct sales organization or a business and you've got staff you need to pay, the pressure that you have because you want other people to also feel fulfilled and satisfied and for them to feel successful, like, it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. And again, I know you had a wake-up call recently about the fact that this stress and pressure manifests itself in some really scary ways. That if it keeps going, if we let it keep going, and we don't learn how to, take control of our life and live our life in alignment with vision and values and what's really important to us, and learn to say no to the other things, there can be some very real physical consequences to that. There's also very real emotional consequences to that. We see people who are, high achievers and are trying to do more and do more and do more, and they're miserable and they're stressed and they're living a life filled with anxiety. And it's great to achieve at a high level. I'm super happy about that for people. I think, we live in a world where that's part of what we want. But if we're achieving at a really high level and it's affecting our health and it's affecting our relationships, and we're not having the kind of experiences of life that we really want to have, then that's where I see people who, and you, you actually connected me to one of the real pillars of what's now my work and the conversation about my work, because I say my work is really about helping people thrive, which means to achieve at a really high level. I think it's great, make a lot of money, achieve, make a real difference in the world. That's great. I have no problem with that whatsoever, but do it in a way where you're also truly happy. And you introduced me to Sean Achor, who is the positive psychology guy, who's another huge fan and supporter of Positive Prime. And he introduced me and his work to the ancient Greek definition of happiness, which is now printed on the back of my business cards. It resonated with me that powerfully. And it is the experience of joy while in pursuit of your potential. So again, all the achievement is great.
Can you say that again, Robin? I need you to say that again, because you and I.
Yeah, that's exactly when I first heard it. I said the same thing. Say it again, because this, again, I have 3 children. This is the best description I've ever heard of what I want for them. Is the experience of joy while in pursuit of your potential. And again, the achievement is great. Our potential, what we're here to do, a sense of purpose and meaning, that's all great. But can we experience joy? Like, can we enjoy the process along the way? It's not one or the other, Sometimes the experience of joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, rainbows, unicorns. Meanwhile, I'm broke, I can't afford my bills, that's no life either. But the achievement, work, 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 make more money, bigger car, nicer house, another house, and then one day you wake up and you're exhausted and you're sick and your, spouse has left you or whatever. That's no life either. So to me, it's really about both. I would answer your question. So I'll go back. As we were talking about the online course and some of the things that we can do, one of the really important elements, and this won't surprise anyone who's been around this kind of work, but gratitude is one of the really important lessons in the course. And we take, I will say this, I'm very proud of the fact with gratitude, you should end your day with gratitude. We fit gratitude into our work in a very unique way. I've never seen anyone. It actually fits into that module I said about letting go of attachments, because if we get really clear about what we want and our goals and our vision and why it's so important, it's really easy to feel like our life is not complete unless we accomplish it. So if we have a financial goal, and it's really important, we get really clear, use the word commitment, we get really committed to it. We can have this sense like, our life is a failure unless we actually achieve it. And in my work, in my approach, we actually use gratitude as like the antidote for that, right? So if we pause and just be everything that we already have, like even here I am in the middle of Nowhereville, Oklahoma, right? I'm so blessed. Like, here, look, I get to hang out with you for an hour, or whatever. And I get to continue to do this work. I'm making a difference in these people's lives while I'm here. I am experiencing some of that, 20 years to create an overnight success, and some very real success in my business that I've been waiting for a long time to get to the level that I'm experiencing right now. So there's so much gratitude and so much appreciation. And then the goals that I have, I can still stay focused on them. I can have what I call high intention, but also low attachment. Like, I don't need to have it. I don't have to have it. So anyway, we talk about that in the course. That's part of the lesson of the course is high intention and low attachment. But we do an exercise that we can't do in the course. I've just never been able to figure out how to do this exercise in the course, but we can do it on a Zoom call. We can actually, I'm not going to give you like the full like spoiler alert on the exercise, because it really is, it's one of the more profound like exercises that we do in the course. But what it does is it gets people to look not only at how we express gratitude, but how we respond when other people express gratitude to us. Because one of the problems that we see out there is, you know, everyone says, oh, gratitude, you know, we need more gratitude, we need more appreciation. But a lot of us resist it. You know, people give us a compliment and they acknowledge us for something, and we say, oh, this old thing, or anybody could have done that, or oh, it was nothing, you know. And then it's like someone gave us a gift and we turned it down. So there's an exercise we do on, and we can do it on a Zoom call. It's very simple. It's really profound. It actually works on a Zoom call almost as well as it would at a retreat. And it gives us the opportunity to take the level of conversation in the course about gratitude and up level it. So we get it on a deeper level. We get it in our body. We have the experience. We debrief it. We see that we're not the only ones that do that. Other people do that too. So it's an example of how we can do an exercise, we can do an activity addressing one of the issues, one of the topics that's really important in the course, that again, I just can't figure out how to build it into the online course. It has to be in an interactive conversation. So I kind of told you, but I didn't really tell you.
I know, and like I should just tell everybody that, quite frankly, I'll give you an example. Every so often I might go and decide to visit the spa and have a massage treatment or something like that. And the price will be somewhere between 80 odd US dollars, 120 Aussie dollars, up to like $200, depending on how sumptuous the surroundings are. And, you know, quite frankly, you spend like 150, 200 bucks and you feel really great in the treatment if it's good. But if the therapist is not exceptional in terms of skills and talent and intention and, you know, the healing energy and technically perfect, right? Seriously, you've just wasted. And this happened to me not so long ago. I organized a really great remedial massage. A bodyworker to come to our home and give us both a massage. And, you know, voila, I've spent $120 each times 2. And she was lovely, but terrible. Right. So what's fascinating, Robert, is that when I've done these exercises with you, and when we actually had you facilitating the very special Positive Prime conference that we did a couple of years ago in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, in Southern California. Yes.
You know what? Like, even if people had paid more than $200 each for just one of those experiences, that experience would have never left them, right?
Yeah.
I know the exercise you're talking about because I've done it a couple of times. And
There you go. Yeah. Shh, don't give it away.
It is actually that good, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm so blessed because, again, you know, we talked about the, you know, the Transformational Leadership Council and working with Jack and people like Paul Sheely and Scott Cody. And the truth is, I feel like I've been able to fill up a toolbox, you know. And if it's gratitude, I can go have exercises and activities we can do around gratitude. And if it's values or specific exercises and activities, if it's feedback, you know, opening up to you know, I can literally go to that toolbox and pull something out that we can do. So I feel really blessed. It's part of what really drives me, even that with being as busy as I am, it's honestly been difficult to find the time for these facilitated online courses, but it's so at the core of my work. It's like I can't not do it, right? So we're doing it, we're scheduled to do it 3 times over the course of this year. We're rotating the prosperity game, which I know you're also familiar with. We're rotating the course along with the prosperity game. So people can sign up for the self-guided course anytime. It's very simple. And what you were saying about, you know, the massage and wanting to make sure that it's a good fit for the individual. For all of these things, we offer 100% guarantee. You know, I want people to know that if for some reason this isn't for you, that we just offer a guarantee. And I think in this kind of work, we kind of have to, you know, I feel a sense of obligation. People are making a commitment, they're reaching out. It's very personal. You know, when someone reaches out to do some sort of, you know, on some level, it's a form of coaching. And it's a very, it's a sense of vulnerability on some level. The people are making themselves kind of opening up to do this work. I guess vulnerability is really what it is. And I want there to be a level of trust. I want people to know that they're safe. And that if it isn't for them, that's fine. You know, I'm very proud of the work that I do, starting with the book and then with this excellent decisions work that we've created and the coaching and the, you know, work I'm doing with individuals and organizations. I'm loving what I do, and I'm extremely proud of the results that I get and the feedback that I get. And yet it's not for everybody. So if for some reason someone doesn't like it, you know, that's fine. You know, they get a full refund, and I'd love to get their feedback on what they didn't like. So hopefully I can make it better. But, you know, no questions asked. Well, actually, it's called one question asked, like, what could we have done better? That's what I'd want to know. But I think, again, I think that's important. And the other thing that I would say, and I really appreciate you being part of this, because one of the lessons I learned at the end of last year was how important it is to work with people who are willing to endorse my work. And part of what we're doing with Excellent Decisions at the beginning of this year is taking a different approach to our marketing. I realized that I can go out and talk about how fabulous my work is all day long. And people will kind of look at me and say, well, what else is he going to say? It's his work, right? But when I work with someone like you, and you know that I have other really, you know, kind of raving fans out there who are doing the same thing and willing to get on a webinar or a Facebook Live or send out an email or whatever. And the fact that, you know, someone with your reputation, who's not just going to jump out there and endorse anybody, the fact that someone like you is willing to say, hey, this is something that's worth taking a look at, makes all the difference in the world. And what I've done, you know, we scaled it back. Like I said, I'm only doing it a few times a year. But I would rather, you know, have conversations like this as part of my marketing than go out there and try harder and harder and harder to get people to listen to me talk about my own work, when again, it always seems to land in that place called, well, what else is he going to say about his work? So.
Yeah, do you know what? All right, so don't torment us any longer. I, of course, want everybody in the Positive Prime community to actually participate in your guided, facilitated, personalized online course. Of course I do, right? I mean, of course I do. Also because I think that it's not a lot extra, but it's exponentially better in terms of the return on investment possibility. So I think that, you know, if they do it with you, it's probable they'll get the results. If they do it on their own, yeah, sure, but they'll just get so much more if they do it with you. Well, I do anyway.
Well, yeah, and it's a little bit of a both and too, because the truth is, if people sign up to do, and we have part of the reason why we're doing this now is that I have a group coming up. It's starting on the week of February 24th. The actual scheduled calls that I'll be doing will start on the 25th and the 27th, and we'll be starting a group at that time. And again, this is once of 3 times that we'll do this year. And people who sign up will get the access to the same content as if they signed up for the self-guided course, but they'll get the opportunity to be on those 6 calls. And then we actually do a follow-up call 30 days later. So it's a total of 7 calls to you through and again, give you an even deeper experience, the ability to your own issues and circumstances. And people at the same time, it's not like at the end of the 6 weeks, we yank away the content. So everyone gets everything they would get with the self-guided course, but they also get that 6-week period of time plus the call 30 days later, where they're in a conversation and they have some accountability and they have some guidance and customization and support and all that. And again, it's just a small group of people. It's really 2 groups of 25 people that we do this for. And what I have been doing is the self-guided has been $97, and the guided, the facilitated course has been $497. But what I'm doing, I told you my commitment to make my life easier, really, that's the bottom line. That's just, I want this to be quick and easy. I want to be facilitating content. I don't want to be, you know, turning into some marketing guy. I just want to be doing the work. So I'd much rather get on a call like this. If people in your community say, hey, this sounds good, and what the heck, there's a 100% money back guarantee, I've got nothing to lose. What I'm offering to people who come through a partner like yourself is that people can join this course for $197 instead of $497. And again, with the 100% money back guarantee, if people don't like it, then you know, they can just reach out to me. I'm not that hard to find. I don't have 27 gatekeepers. Let me know why it didn't work, because again, I would like to know so I can make it better. But 100% guaranteed. If it's not working for you, I don't want you paying for it. And so again, it's $197. It's for the 6 weeks plus ongoing access to the content. And yeah, so that's
so
that's
what you're really saying is that because the Positive Prime community gets to know you through me, you're willing to give $300 discount. Is that right?
That is right. And you know, it's funny, as we have this conversation, I'm feeling like I don't get to like offer your community the best part of the offer. So if I was on with someone else, I would be talking about the, you know, the course material and the fully facilitated. And I would be saying, and guess what? You also get, guess what? You won't believe what else you get. And it's so true. It's so, like, it's such an awesome addition to the course, which is the Positive Prime session, the Excellent Decisions Positive Prime session. It's been created to be a perfect complement to the work that I do, whether it's coaching or the retreat or the course. The Positive Prime session, all the language and the images, all of it matches with the language of and the approach of the program. So I'm sorry, I can't. Well, I can't offer that as a bonus, but the only reason I can't is because you already have access to it. So I guess on some level we can make sure that they get access to the Excellent Decisions session. If they don't currently have access to it, I would be more than willing to do that.
Oh, of course.
But it's just so funny to be in this conversation with you and not be able to really, you know, use the kicker, you know, because I love talking about Positive Prime. It's such a perfect connection to the conversation about how important it is to have ongoing support and accountability, because the system, the technology that you've created to keep people focused, to keep their head in the game, if you will, in such a simple way. I mean, and again, you know, I've been a big fan. I've had this conversation from stage. You and I, you know, have had this opposite conversation where I'm endorsing your work because I'm a huge, huge fan. I've seen how much it helps people who are doing my work, right? So,
you know, one of the favorite stories I like to tell is how, you know, Robert MacPhee, just because he's generous and gracious and because he believes, actually, stood up at a Jack Canfield retreat and, of course, gave Jack's session away to everybody in the audience, which I just love. One of the highlights of my life. Okay, so Robert, the funny thing is that, and it kind of sounds a little bit bizarre, I have outstanding results with Positive Prime. I really do. And a lot of my private clients have outstanding results, way beyond, say, a general member of our community. And one of the reasons why is because we do a lot of extra, really good quality, personal, professional, positive development, improvement. We learn about strategies and formulas and we apply them, right? So I just know for a fact that the process that I went through for editing my sessions and uploading effectively the right collection of images for the right reasons is predicated, and certainly really the flavor is because I understand your work around excellent decisions and vision and value, right? So that's why I do want, there are very few people that I put my hand on my heart and I say, look into my soul. And when I tell you, you just have to do this, you just have to do it, right? Now, I want you to do it now because of the incubation effect. The reality is that if you do the up leveling now, the universe has more time to respond, and quite frankly, it shortens, so it actually accelerates your journey. Everything that we do in the now with wonderful intention, when we're really proactive, of course, we reap the results much sooner. And you know, Robert, I'm really famous for saying this. Like, let's just say that in divine universal timing, a goal is like 12 months that's kind of how long it's going to take for all your angels and, you know, your other really resourceful friends to align the resources, the people, the places, the circumstances, so you actually get to experience it. Well, quite frankly, if you start that action today and the universal divine timing is a year, you'll achieve that within a year, right? With the right emotions in the quantum physics play, yeah, maybe you can shorten that to 6 months. However, in divine timing, if something actually does take a year and you decide, oh no, I'll do this next year, I promise you the incubation effect, quite frankly, you've missed the whole point, right, of really being playful on this journey and making sure that you have the relief and the sense of peace and just the excitement and the sense of accomplishment that you could have had a whole heap earlier. A lot of people actually shoot themselves in the foot, right? So this is not me saying to you, if you don't do this, you know, but it is like, you got to do this. It's so affordable. Robert, they can get started in the very next cohort, can't they? And let's just say they're going in for major surgery or, you know, whatever, 1,000 other excuses. And by the way, I've just got to say this, right? A lot of our excuses is our stuff coming up that is actually self-sabotage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody who's listening to this has this inkling that maybe this is one of the pieces of the puzzle that's actually going to help you to unlock yourself, right? Just do it. Now you might have this, oh, why did I sign up for that? And, you know, but like, seriously, are you kidding? Just do it. And just know that by the time you're in the program, all of that self-sabotage is actually going to start to be addressed as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really need to say very much more than that, do I?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And the truth is, you know, we talked at the beginning, you know, I love it. I love working with people on a one-on-one basis, but the truth is it requires an investment of thousands of dollars to do that. I love doing these retreats that we're going to be doing a couple times a year. But again, it requires an investment of a few $1,000s to be able to do that. And the truth is, with technology, with this technology, with Zoom calls, with the technology, with the Kajabi online course form, to leverage it, and it becomes a way that we can continue to make an entry for people who a couple $100s might even still be a relatively significant investment, but relative, you know, I know that the value that we're delivering here relative to what we're asking is like astronomical. I know that if people really get this work and they do this work and they put the support and the accountability in place for just a short period of time to be able to change some of that internal stress and pressure, the way that we think now, the approach that we're taking now, start doing a few things differently, everything changes. And again, I go to that, you know, definition of happiness that I learned through Sean, which I met Sean through you, that experience of joy while in pursuit of our potential. Yes, achieving more, you know, whatever it is, you know, that we really want to achieve, relationships, health, money, whatever it is, we can achieve more. That's actually not that hard. But doing it in a way that we're actually living our life in alignment with our vision, our values, and what's really important to you, feeling like we're on purpose. Again, experience of joy while in pursuit of our potential, you know, that's $200 very well spent, in my opinion. So hopefully people will be interested in joining us. If not, look, you and I got to hang out together and have a really great time. So there you go.
Yeah, totally.
It's a no-lose situation.
And Robert, can they jump over and join your community anyway, and maybe choose to participate at a later stage?
Yes, yeah, and if people sign up for the self-guided course, they're going to get an invitation to credit what they've already invested into the next fully facilitated course. Again, through excellentdecisions.com, or we're going to put a link in with this video that people can go. Once they're in the Kajabi platform that I was talking about, there's several ways for them to sign up just to stay in the loop and be informed about what we're up to. We're going to be doing this prosperity game. If people are really stuck in the area of money, the prosperity game is a great way to get unstuck. And we'd love to have you just as part of our community. You know, I send basically one email a week, so we don't overwhelm people with messages. But we send something out once a week just so people who want to keep up with what we're doing are kept in the loop about what's going on, and get to share what I'm learning, and just keep in communication with the people who want to hear from us.
Brilliant. Look, I know that lots of people look at your positive prime session and they think, oh, I wonder who he is. And then they go off and do some Google searching and then they figure out, oh, wow, right? And so then they join your community anyway. So I love having your session available in our shop at some. It's a real honor and privilege, really. Okay, so that's a lot to have discussed and we've gone a little bit over, but that's okay. That's really okay. I'm going to go recommend that you watch the webinar with Robert, available via the link. Okay, so there's actually a little piece that you can do that I think is exceptional, like really exceptional. So go watch that webinar, right? You owe it to yourself. You do. You'll see what I mean by the time you've been through it. And then I hope to see you on the inside of the course. I'm going to do it again because actually I'm really good at higher level insights the more I repeat a particular program. All
right.
All righty. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Kim. If people have questions, I'm not that hard to find. You know, just reach out and ask. And again, thanks for the opportunity. It's always amazing to connect with you, even from one end of the world to the other. And hopefully our paths will cross in person soon.
I hope so. You never know. I could be showing up to a retreat in the Wine Valley.
Oh, that sounds better than Oklahoma, right? Sounds better than Oklahoma. I'm just saying.
It does indeed. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. I've not been to Oklahoma. I might find something charming about it. All righty.
Oh, thanks so much.
Ciao. Much love. Bye.